Sorry about that. I don't know why it's every single Friday that something goes stupid wrong for no reason. But that's how it is, apparently, for these. So I'm sorry. I don't know why it happens on the stream that is most affected by continuity and is the biggest pain in the rear to fix if something goes wrong, but it does. As my father used to say, God is testing me, and I am not passing. I don't know what he wants. In this case, Jeff Bezos is testing me, and I'm going to find him, the tester that he's using, and I am going to have words with him. All right, so I do know roughly where it left off, so we'll start a little before there. We'll work our way back. God damn it. I whisper, Mr. Volition, that's who I am. My head begins to throb. I let the patch image fade from vision. As I finish shaving, I examine the patch from the outside for the first time in days. The dragon breaking out of its own insubstantial portrait to attain solidity, or at least portrayed that way. I think of the man I stole it from, and wonder if he ever saw into the pandemonium as deeply as I have. But he can't have, or he never would have let me take the patch. Because now that I've seen, now that I've glimpsed the truth, I know I'd defend the power to see it this way to the death. I leave home around midnight, scout the area, take its pulse. Every night there are subtly different flows of activity between the clubs, the bars, the brothels, the gambling houses, the private parties. It's not the crowds I'm after, though. I'm looking for a place where no one has reason to go. I finally choose a construction site, flanked by deserted offices. There's a patch of ground protected from the two nearest streetlights by a large skip near the road, casting a black triangular umbra. I sit on the dew-wet sand and cement dust, gun and balaclava in my jacket within easy reach. I wait calmly. I've learned to be patient, and there are nights when I've faced the dawn empty-handed. Most nights, though, someone takes a shortcut. Most nights, someone gets lost. I listen for footsteps, but I let my mind wander. I try to follow the pandemonium more closely, seeing if I can absorb the sequence of images passively while I'm thinking of something else, and then replay the memory, the movie of my thoughts. I make a fist, then open it. I make a fist, then don't. I try to catch Mr. Volition in the act, exercising my powers of whim. Reconstructing what I think I saw, the thousand tendrilled pattern certainly flashes brightly. But memory plays strange tricks. I can't get the sequence right. Every time I run the movie in my head, I see most of the other patterns involved in the action flashing first, sending cascades converging on Mr. Volition, making it fire, the very opposite of what I know is true. Mr. Volition lights up the instant I feel myself choose. So how can anything but mental static precede that pivotal moment? I practice for more than an hour, but the illusion persists. Some distortion of temporal perception? Some side effect of the patch? Footsteps approaching. One person. I slip on the balaclava, wait a few seconds. Then I rise slowly to a crouch and sneak a look around the edge of the skip. He's past it, and he's not looking back. I follow. He's walking briskly, hands in jacket pockets. When I'm 3 meters behind him, close enough to discourage most people from making a run, I call out softly, "Halt!" He glances back over his shoulder first, then wheels around. He's young, 18 or 19, taller than me and probably stronger. I'll have to watch out for any dumb bravado. He doesn't quite rub his eyes, but the balaclava always seems to produce an expression of disbelief. That, and the air of calm. When I fail to wave my arms and scream Hollywood obscenities, some people can't quite bring themselves to accept that it's real. I move closer. He's wearing a diamond stud in one ear. Tiny, but better than nothing. I point to it, and he hands it over. He looks grim, but I don't think he's going to try anything stupid. Take out your wallet and show me what's in it. He does this, fanning the contents for inspection like a hand of cards. I choose the E-cache, E for easily hacked. I can't read the balance, but I slip it in my pocket and let him keep the rest. Now take off your shoes. He hesitates and lets a flash of pure resentment show in his eyes. Too afraid to answer back, though. He complies clumsily, standing on one foot at a time. I don't blame him. I'd feel more vulnerable, sitting, even if it makes no difference at all. When I tie the shoes by their laces to the back of my belt, one-handed, he looks at me as if he's trying to judge whether I understand that he has nothing else to offer, trying to decide if I'm going to be disappointed and angry. I gaze back at him, not angry at all, just trying to fix his face in my memory. For a second, I try to visualize the pandemonium, but there's no need. I'm reading the patterns entirely on their own terms now, taking them in and understanding them fully through the new sensory channel which the patch has carved out for itself from the neurobiology of vision. And I know that Mr. Volition is firing. I raise the gun to the stranger's heart and click off the safety. His composure melts, his face screws up. He starts shaking, and tears appear, but he doesn't close his eyes. I feel a surge of compassion, and see it, too. But it's outside Mr. Volition, and only Mr. Volition can choose. The stranger asks simply, pitifully, "Why?" "Because I can." He closes his eyes, teeth chattering, a thread of mucus dangling from one nostril. I wait for the moment of lucidity, the moment of perfect understanding, the moment I step outside the flow of the world and take responsibility for myself. Instead, a different veil parts, and the pandemonium shows itself to itself in every detail. The patterns for the concepts of freedom, self-knowledge, courage, honesty, responsibility are all firing brightly. They're spinning cascades, vast tangled streamers hundreds of patterns long. But now, all the connections, all the causal relationships are finally crystal clear. And nothing is flowing out of any fount of action, any irreducible autonomous self. Mr. Volition is firing, but it's just one more pattern among thousands, one more elaborate cog. It taps into the cascades around it with a dozen tentacles and jabbers wildly. I, claiming responsibility for everything. But in truth, it's no different from any of the rest. My throat emits a retching sound, and my knees almost buckle. This is too much to know, too much to accept. Still holding the gun firmly in place, I reach up under the balaclava and tear off the patch. It makes no difference. The show plays on. The brain has internalized all the associations, all the connections, and the meaning keeps unfolding relentlessly. There is no first cause in here, no place where decisions can begin. Just a vast machine of vanes and turbines, driven by the causal flow which passes through it. A machine built out of words made flesh, images made flesh, ideas made flesh. There is nothing else, only these patterns and the connections between them. Choices happen everywhere, in every association, every linkage of ideas. The whole structure, the whole machine decides. And Mr. Volition? Mr. Volition is nothing but the idea of itself. The pandemonium can imagine anything. Santa Claus, God, the human soul. It can build a symbol for any idea and wire it up to 1,000 others. But that doesn't mean that the thing the symbol represents could ever be real. I stare in horror and pity and shame at the man trembling in front of me. Who am I sacrificing him to? I could have told Mira, one little soul doll is one too many. So why couldn't I tell myself? There is no second self inside the self, no inner puppeteer to pull the strings and make the choices. There is only the whole machine. And under scrutiny, the jumped-up cog is shriveling. Now that the pandemonium can see itself completely, Mr. Volition makes no sense at all. There is nothing, no one to kill for, no emperor in the mind to defend to the death. And there are no barriers to freedom to be overcome. Love, hope, morality. Tear all that beautiful machinery down, and there'd be nothing left but a few nerve cells twitching at random. Not some radiant, purified, unencumbered Übermensch. The only freedom lies in being this machine and not another. So this machine lowers the gun, raises a hand in a clumsy gesture of contrition, turns and flees into the night, not stopping for breath, and wary as ever of the danger of pursuit, but crying tears of liberation all the way. Author's note. This story was inspired by the pandemonium cognitive models of Marvin Minsky, Daniel C. Dennett, and others. However, the rough sketch I've presented here is only intended to convey a general sense of how these models work. It doesn't begin to do justice to the fine points. Detailed models are described in Consciousness Explained by Dennett and The Society of Mind by Minsky. So that was Mr. Volition by Greg Egan. Good stuff. Kind of mind-bending, kind of getting across the point that we are the sum of our parts, as it were. We are what we is. The entire discussion of philosophy of the discussion of human consciousness is an interesting one and an ongoing one, and kind of a it's a hard nut to crack. I think partly because we're too close to the problem, as it were. We At its core, we really are biochemical machines. We are organized nanomachine swarms. We have a consciousness, a thing that we identify with, an existence that we are aware of. We have self-awareness. It is questionable as to the value that self-awareness actually offers. Um, you can find numerous studies that show that, uh, as some have put it, the curly-haired boss from Dilbert, which is our consciousness, actually gets in the way a lot. If you removed human consciousness as a factor, we'd be faster and more efficient at literally any task we were doing. We just wouldn't be aware of it in the sense that we are now. We wouldn't have an encapsulated, crystallized I, which is part of what that story is trying to come together, but also kind of putting together a model of, okay, this is human cognition as represented by um, all the different connections that we make, that we've assimilated over time, that are the impressive meat computer that is our brain, paired with our bodies, tactile, auditory, visual, all our sensations, all that coming uh, into the entirety that is us, coming together, sort of, to be us, what we are. So cool stuff. I find that stuff very fascinating. Um, just different takes on the human consciousness idea. What time is it? Good question. Wow, later than I thought. Yikes. Okay. Um, I am not going to have time to do all of Cocoon. Fudge. This does not please the Frag. This disappoints the Frag. Frag is disappointed. I guess we can do Cocoon next time. How long is Transition Dreams? The one that comes after it. Come on. Give me a page number. Jeez Louise, why are you making this so hard? I just don't understand. Transition Dreams isn't very long, so yeah, I'll do 2 tomorrow. Yeah, Transition Dreams is only like 16 pages. Pretty short. Da 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 da. Do 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 do. Yeah, Cocoon's a bit of a meaty one, and I don't truly remember the plot, so either I will take the time to reread it before I do it, or we'll do it as blind as we were going to do it today. You bet it'll be the latter. I have other books to read. Um, I have a lot of books to read. I have a never-ending supply of books to read, and I sort of hope everyone else does too. I'm just trying to supplement that. Alrighty. So yeah, I do have to scoot, much to my chagrin, after only doing the one. If I hadn't had the interruption in the middle, it probably would have been more manageable, but here we are. I also have a bunch of stuff I have to get done today, so it's just as well. Some prep, and then I have work in the evening. Alrighty, thanks for tuning in. Hope people are enjoying these. I'm sorry about the break in the 3/4 of the way through. And yeah, have a good one. See you next time. I do have other streams throughout the week. I have a Mecha Monday stream where I do something giant robot related or mecha adjacent. I do have a Warframe Wednesday stream where I do some Warframe, and then these Free Read Fridays streams where I read short stories and indeed entire novels aloud. Um, and now that I have it rigged, and a thing I can do is I can do some comic books. I can display those. So if people have some comics or whatever that they want read aloud, shoot them my way. All right, folks. Thanks again. Have a good one. And don't get too worked up about the Mr. Volition in your head.